Hey everybody, this is episode 3 of About Crypto. We just talk to crypto people in the space doing cool things and just to get them out there. And today we have a very cool guest. We have Rory Murray, who is a software engineer at Tacen and also is a writer for Forbes Crypto, which is very awesome. How's it going, Rory?
Good, thank you. Yeah, it's really nice to be here. And I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, man, of course. So let's get this thing started. So how did you get into crypto?
Well, like anything in this space, it's long and complicated. But the short of it is that I have always been fascinated by money, and not just specifically the idea of getting wealthy, although that's a nice side effect, hopefully, right?
Yeah.
But um, you know, the idea that from my studies and what I've identified, money to me seems like the purest way to express all the different parts of humanity that are interesting to me: psychology, politics, finance, business, just the entire range. I think of human society is encapsulated in a large way in the ways that we view, hold, store, transmit, and think about money. So for me, it's not Bitcoin that drove me necessarily originally. It was money and the idea that understanding it, one, was going to help me and my family to not have to go through some of the issues that we dealt with by not understanding that into the Great Recession. And then also that I was hoping that there's a better way to do this going forward in the world.
Absolutely, and you definitely touched on some great points. Financial education growing up, through high school. I mean, we get very minimal education on that. Do you think that should be taught more in schools and even touching on digital currencies as well?
I think it's a no-brainer that the answer is definitely yes. There's always a qualification on what, where, how, why, and then also, and I hate to say it, but you also got to think about who's going to be teaching that too. And there's a ton of amazing, wonderful teachers out there, but I'm not necessarily convinced that a really good community citizen who's dedicated to teaching and caring about their children, in Toledo, Ohio, or whatever suburb in America, it doesn't matter, coastal, non-coastal, is necessarily going to be the best vessel for proper education, particularly these days, as even us deeply in the space barely have any idea what's going on. So yes, but I would say that I don't know what form that takes.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, what are you working on right now in crypto?
So my main gig is I'm a software engineer at Tacen, and we're a small little ragtag outfit right now who's trying to change the exchange space. And basically, the way that we see it is there's two dichotomies that between the exchange right now. You can either have centralized order book liquidity. You have KYC and AML, which allows you to have fiat on ramps, and that gives you speed. It gives you support. That there's somebody on the other side of the phone or on the other side of the chat. You can you can trust the development in that, and it allows you speed and liquidity and reliability in service, let's say. And then on the other side of the equation is this, what I think is an awesome push into decentralized finance, but it misses the point sometimes, which is that you have to be on another dedicated blockchain that's it's going to cost more, period. And then there's an immutable trade-off between security and speed when it comes to blockchains right now. So you can be in a decentralized space, but that's going to create higher fees. It's going to lower the speed, and then that's going to lower, just de facto, that's going to lower your liquidity pool because you're going to have less traders trading, with less turnover, and they're going to be attracted, less to the higher fees. So you kind of need to get over this hump there. So what Tacen is trying to do, and the idea is that what we tend to do is we're trying to kind of balance the best of both worlds. We want to provide a central order book liquidity, speed, and very, very low fees. We will be a centralized exchange in that sense, but we're going to be non-custodial. And so we don't want to hold any of your personally identifiable information. We don't want to run our own blockchain either. And so the way that we're going to try to solve that is through smart contracts that are native to each blockchain, and then allow traders to enter into escrow contracts, complete their changes in a centralized way, and then control their own settlement across chain. And the big idea that we have is that we want to create a cross-chain trade facility between Bitcoin and Ethereum in a non-custodial way that doesn't exist right now.
Wow. So you guys have a lot of stuff going on, and that sounds really incredible.
All of this is aspirational, of course, and we're working on it, and but we're making some progress, and we really do believe in the mission.
Yeah, I think like most things in this space, it takes a bit of a belief system as well, and if you have the right team together, I think you can make anything happen.
I hope so. Thank you.
Yeah, man. So good for you guys. So you also write for Forbes too. If you want to.
So I'm a contributor. Yeah, I'm a contributor for Forbes. So I just started there. So I'm not staff writer, but I'm a contributor for their crypto and blockchain segment on Forbes.com. I just dropped my first article last week, and I have another one coming out on Thursday morning, which you should all keep an eye out for. If you don't mind me plugging that.
Yeah, plug it out, dude. Plug it out. What do you touch on in that article?
Yeah, so I'm actually going to talk. I can't go into too much detail because I'm still under embargo. But I'm going to talk about a major development in funding for Bitcoin core development, which is sort of a nice follow-on to my initial article, which had been about the Human Rights Foundation's Bitcoin Development Fund.
Awesome. I like the Human Rights Foundation. That's awesome. I'm a fan of Gladstein as well.
Yeah, no. So he's amazing, and I've been following his work for a while. So getting to write about them was like the coolest first lead that could have come across my desk. And so I was super excited about that because I've been following his work for a while, and also it's very uncontroversial. Like, Human Rights Foundation invests in Bitcoin privacy. Like, that's a great story. And I feel like these days it's really rare. It's more rare than it should be maybe in crypto to find something that we can all, I'm sure somebody doesn't agree, but that most of us can kind of agree is a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So that kind of drags me into another question. What's your take on COVID tracing?
COVID tracing. Oh my goodness. We're really getting into it this morning. You didn't give me any warning about that one, buddy.
No, we're pulling the trigger on it, but
okay. Yeah. So let's pull the trigger. Holy cow, Cody, yeah. It's really complicated because my initial view on anything is that we have a constitution and we need to maintain the rights that are inherent in that constitution, and that is what we are as America, and we need to prize that and privilege that. Okay, so that being said, when we were trying to manage this pandemic initially, I was hoping that we could take more of like a South Korea-like approach. Testing on every corner, checking your temperature before you go into work or going into an event or a restaurant, and have all of these systems. And then when they do contact tracing, I could be wrong, but at least initially, and my understanding is, and I'm not an epidemiologist, but my understanding is contact tracing is inherently like a pen and paper thing. Like, it's like when you first have cases coming over, you kind of you interview somebody, you figure out, where did they go, who did they talk to, etc. Who were they snogging, and you work that out. The contact tracing that you're talking about, however, I think the whole reason that it's so controversial is that we both understand that this is going to be a technological solution, and it's going to be something that's basically it's going to be like the U2 album on steroids. It's like, I didn't just ask for this, it just showed up on my phone. Yeah. And And that presents a whole different range of issues to me that aren't necessarily captured by the term. So do you think contact tracing is a good thing?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think the big turnaround for me is when the privacy update on the new iPhone came out, and it says some of your apps will be tracing where you are and things of that nature to see if you came into contact with COVID or a hotspot. And I think that threw a lot of people for a loop.
It's a little double speaky to call it a privacy update, don't you think?
Right? Right?
I mean,
yeah, it's going to trace you where you are, and don't worry about it. Like, not bad's going to happen. You know?
Yeah, more of like a downgrade. But yeah, I think it's tough because I'm also a pragmatist, right? Like I didn't just like and I consider myself. I do think that real progress is made through a combination of absolutely unyielding belief and presence, and then complete pragmatism in implementation with the messiness of the world. And so I do understand that COVID, thankfully, hopefully isn't as bad as it maybe could have been, or we fear that some. That's not to say it's not bad, but it's maybe not like a contagion-esque level virus. And in that way, in some ways, we're lucky, but in other ways, we're going through this conversation of like, okay, we need to remember that the government does have emergency powers, and we have given that to them, and that this is not new. And it's not that I don't really want to get. Well, we could. I don't want to get too much into right, wrong, or indifferent on the lockdowns, et cetera. Yeah. But I think more the big wake up for me was that you guys and girls and people all need to remember that this was always going to happen when we had the next major emergency or catastrophe or thing. Whether it was an earthquake or a virus or a terrorist attack or whatever, this was always going to be how it was going to be. We were always going to understand that these emergency powers are bigger, stronger, and longer than we could have ever possibly imagined. And so that's a good wake up. But so that's a long way of saying that I don't think the right way to do this is to forcefully push out software updates to my private company phones, and then track my data with either a enforced or opt out way. But I'm also pragmatic about the fact that we're saying America is a free country does not capture even close to the reality of our currently interpreted rights and privileges.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm with you on that one. And thanks for touching on that. I know you're a software engineer, so you definitely know the ins and outs of what is actually going on with these apps and things of that nature.
Scary, man.
Yeah, it's a wild world we're living in. But yeah, I guess we'll wrap it up here. And I just want to say thanks again for coming on. I mean, you were helpful for definitely my whole audience, and you have so many cool things going on from Tacen to Forbes Crypto. So thanks again, man. And where can people find you?
Thanks so much for having me. You're a really awesome personality in the space. You're a good dude. Those are hard to find these days. And I'm really appreciating the fact that I can get to know you more. We can work together more in whatever capacity. And I appreciate you having me on. Anybody can find me on Twitter at the Rory Murray, TheRorymurray. I'm also a contributor to Forbes. You can just find me on that website in their crypto and blockchain segment. Follow me and get at me in any way. I love comments, but I particularly love biting criticism. So please get at me.
Awesome, man. Thanks again, and everyone have a good day.